Hey guys, by Austin Ramos, and this Sunday the Miami Dolphins defeated the Los Angeles Chargers 36-34, and what a game it was, first and foremost. Second of all, for some of you guys who just strictly are subscribed to me on YouTube and weren't aware, I was temporarily removed from the platform for about an hour. No idea what YouTube was thinking there. They were, and I quote, saying that I had spam or I was scamming, and then there was one more other thing, indiscreet practices or something like that, and that is just a load of horseshit. But didn't let it bring me down. It hurt at first. I was like, what the fuck? But after, we made it through. But then the Dolphins really just wanted to lift the boys' spirits. So let's get into some quick highlights. And first and 10, Tua finds Waddle for a 35-yard reception. Waddle was putting the wheels on this one. Not much from him aside from this and a couple other plays throughout the day. First and goal from the 2-yard line. Tua bobbles the snap. It was recovered by Nick Williams. Tua was giving the O-line just words of encouragement. Hey guys, like, let's not let this happen. Austin Eckler finds the end zone to put the Chargers up 7-0. Raheem Mostert answers back, 7-7 ball game right now. And then into the second quarter, Tua finds Tyreek Hill for a 28-yard gain, and which led to a field goal. Donald Parham from Herbert, 2-yard touchdown, puts the Chargers up 10-4. Tua and Tyreek had an amazing connection today. We'll talk a lot more about that later on. Tua rolling around in the pocket and finds River Craycraft in the back of the end zone to put the Dolphins up 17-14. And man, oh man, was it hype. Christian Wilkins loved it. This was first and goal. Herbert, keeper, puts the Chargers ahead 24-20. Kader Kohu with a big-time sack on third down, and it could have been a safety. Pretty questionable. Following the punt, one-play drive, Tua finds Tyreek for a massive bomb, 35 yards, and it was resulting in a 27-24 score. Following drive, Joshua Kelly, 27-31. Big reception by Braxton Berrios. It was challenged, reviewed, and the call stand. And then the game-winning touchdown, Tua puts the ball right on the money for Tyreek Hill. And then the game sealer, Justin Bethel and Jalen Phillips combined for the game-winning sack to put the Miami Dolphins in prime position to win the game. Man, oh man, what a game it was. Back and forth. Both teams just really going at it, and you couldn't really ask more for a week one matchup between two teams that, as I was saying in the game preview, have title aspirations. This is a great team in the Los Angeles Chargers. They dealt with some injuries in the middle of the game with Mike Williams going out for a little bit, but he ended up coming back, and he was able to perform after. He had a couple of receptions after, I believe. I know for sure he had at least one, but that's not the big deal here. What is the big deal? The quarterback situation between both teams. In no way did Herbert have a horrible game. He just didn't have as great of a game as Tua. But given the numbers, some may say a little bit different. In terms of efficiency, that's where things get a little sideways. So real quick, we'll just go over the quarterbacks and then we'll jump into overall team stats. Tua went 20 of 45 for 466 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. That interception debatably could have been called for a pass interference, but it wasn't. And I'm not here to complain about it and say, man, they should have. At the end of the day, Dolphins got their thing, got it done. But then Justin Herbert, 23 of 33, 228 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, sacked 3 times for a loss of 29 yards. And that was the big factor. Dolphins struggled to get to him, but they eventually did. They eventually ended up getting to him, and that was really a big difference maker in this game. The one that from Kader Kohu that possibly could have been a safety, and then the other one at the end of the game. And I forgot what was the other sack. I'm trying to think of it. The sack right before the game-winning one, Zach Sealer. And it wasn't just Zach Sealer, but Zach Sealer was credited with the sack. It was a big one. But yeah, those are some key differences. Another thing is the Dolphins didn't run the ball as much. They put the ball a lot more into his hands, so that's why a little bit the stats may be a little bit more lopsided there in terms of the QB performance. But let's go to some of the team stats real quick. Miami Dolphins and Chargers both had 30 first downs. Dolphins had 23 passing first downs. Chargers had 10. Third down efficiency, 4 of 9 for the Dolphins, 9 of 15 for the Los Angeles Chargers. Dolphins were 1-on-1 on fourth down. Chargers were 0 for 1. That was the final play of the game for the Chargers. Let's see. Turnovers. Dolphins had 2 turnovers. One was a fumble loss, and then the other one was an interception, both from Tua. Time of possession. Dolphins had the ball for 27 minutes and 19 seconds. Chargers had it for 32 minutes and 41. Yeah, it was overall great game. Leading rusher for the Miami Dolphins, 10 carries, 37 yards, 1 touchdown for Raheem Mostert, longest of 12. Austin Eckler, 16 carries, 117 yards, 3 touchdowns, 55 for the longest one. That was a big play. Unfortunately, I couldn't find that clip online. So sorry I didn't have that. But right behind them, Joshua Kelly, 6 carries, 91 yards. The rushing game for the Chargers overall had 234 yards, which is absolutely huge. I mean, the Dolphins defense really wasn't combating that rushing attack from the Los Angeles Chargers. And that's something that definitely needs to be worked on. It was very concerning to see stuff like that happen, honestly. I was pretty upset. Like, now that I'm actually looking at the numbers, like that's a big issue. Receiving leaders, Miami Dolphins leading receiver was Tyreek Hill, 11 receptions, 215 yards, 2 touchdowns, longest of 47 off of 15 targets. And the cornerbacks for the Los Angeles Chargers were playing really well. So kudos to them. They were understanding how to play them and get their hands in position. So really want to say kudos to them. They were doing their thing. Right behind them was Jalen Waddle, 4 receptions, 78 yards, and longest of 35, which is one of the ones I showed earlier. Durham Smythe, I thought he was going to start having himself a game. Like one of those drives, I think he got all of these 3 passes. If not, he had 2 like in a row. Durham Smythe, 3 receptions, 44 yards, longest of 18. Targeted 7 times. Some of those were kind of knuckle-headed type of pass attempts by Tua. That ended up being like broken up by like Derwin James in the red zone, stuff like that. But aside from that, I was liking what I was seeing from him, so that was really good. Keenan Allen was the Chargers' leading receiver, 6 receptions, 76 yards, longest of 36. Austin Eckler, 4 receptions, 47 yards. Mike Williams, 4 receptions, 45 yards. Surprisingly, Quentin Johnson only got 2 receptions, 9 yards. I was hoping he would, in terms of just as seeing this player evolve, I was hoping he would get a little more involved today. But it's week 1 of his rookie season, so I'm not too, upset about it. In terms of, I definitely, as a fan, I was not upset about it. Tua had 2 fumbles. One was recovered by himself, and he lost one, which was recovered by Nick Williams. The leading tackler for the Miami Dolphins, Javion Holland, 14 total tackles, 10 solo, 1 tackle for a loss. Right behind him was Deshaun Elliott. So I was very verbal about it, but I was kind of uncertain whether or not he could be a great side piece to Javion Holland in terms of playing safety. And he did a pretty good job. Jalen Phillips, 11 total tackles, 6 solo, half a sack, and 2 QB hits. And then in terms of other key stats, Kader Kohu, 1 sack, 1 tackle for a loss, 1 QB hit. Xavier Howard, 1 pass deflection. I could have sworn I grabbed the clip of it, but I don't know either I didn't drop it in the timeline or not for the highlight. But yeah, Xavier Howard had a big pass breakup, which I was trying to feature. Zach Sealer had a sack, a tackle for a loss, 1 QB hit. Justin Bethel, half a sack with Jalen Phillips and a QB hit. Bradley Chubb, tackle for a loss. And it kind of falls off after there. I will want to say that I was not very impressed by the linebacking core. 1, getting those big tackles on the rushes, and then 2, just the coverage. Overall, the linebacking play was not great, and that was pretty upsetting. I was hoping that David Long and Jerome Baker would really flourish in this Vic Fangio defense, but it's only 1 game. Let's not overreact too much. Leading tackler for the Los Angeles Chargers, Aloy Gilman. He had 11 total tackles, 9 solo. Following him was Eric Kendricks, 7 total, 4 solo with a pass deflection. And then on top of that, we have Derwin James, 1 tackle for loss, 2 pass deflections. Michael Davis, 2 pass deflections. Tuli Tuplilu, sorry if I butchered his name, but 1 tackle for a loss. Nick Williams, 1 tackle for a loss. Austin Johnson, 1 pass deflection. Sebastian Joseph Tate, 2 QB hits. J.C. Jackson had 3 pass deflections, and I believe he was the one who came down with interception. And Jasir Taylor had a pass deflection. Yeah, J.C. Jackson, 1 interception, return for 9 yards. And the return by J.C. Jackson on the interception, he caught it in the end zone, and he thought he could do something with it. And I think that return kind of screwed up the Chargers ultimately at the end of the game. But that's neither here or there. Punt returns from the Los Angeles Chargers was Darius Davis, 1 punt return for 3 yards. Jason Sanders, 3 for 3 on field goals, longest of 45, and then 3 for 4 on extra points, and that was terrifying when he missed that last one. That could have really cost the Dolphins the game should the Chargers have gone down the field and ended up kicking a game-winning field goal. That would have been very terrifying. J.K. Scott went 3 for Cameron Dicker had 2 field goals, longest of 50, and then 4 extra points. And then punting, Jake Bailey had 1 punt, 38 yards. And then J.K. Scott had 3 punts for 145 total yards. 1 was a touchback, and 62 was his longest for the day. Guys, if you don't like football, I encourage you to watch back this game. This was a back and forth game. This was a game of 2 teams trying to get off on the right foot in their season and just really kickstart things. And were they able to? I think both teams were, in the grand scheme of things. I think this Chargers team is a force to be reckoned with inside not only the AFC West, but just in the AFC as a whole. And then you have the Miami Dolphins, who got a good jump on the league in terms of the AFC East, because they're 1-0, Patriots are 1-1, and then someone's got to lose on Monday night unless they tie, which I don't think is going to happen. But someone's got to lose between the Bills and the Jets. So Dolphins will be tied for first. And just, 1-0. It's great. You get a win. It's great. Some downsides. The offensive line wasn't great. They weren't really all too well. I wasn't sure if it was more so that they weren't all too well in creating space for our running backs to go through the lanes, but that might have to take a little bit more of digesting film. And then on top of that, the linebacking core, I already mentioned it, but they weren't all too appealing as well. So those are some things of concern. Another thing, some good things that came out of this game for the Dolphins. Tyreek Hill is going to get 2,000 yards receiving this year. I wouldn't want to say 100%, but if he can replicate that type of performance, not every game, but similarly almost every other game or so, I'm pretty sure he might end up getting that record, which would be absurd. I think on fantasy alone, he had last time I checked it was 45, but I'm pretty sure it might be even higher. Let me get a little look. But either way, if he's playing like that every other game, then this is going to be a deadly combo for the Miami Dolphins and the combination of him and Tua. But let's see, it's not coming up. Anyways, there's some few things I want to shed a light on. Wouldn't it be nice to have Jonathan Taylor so we could maybe see if it's our running backs or if it's our offensive line? No, I think it's more so that how the game was going, and Tua got hot and made some big throws. He wasn't really efficient, but at the same time he was getting things done, and that was, I think, overall the biggest thing. Sorry for the little cut there. I usually like having straight videos with no type of cuts in between. But for this one, I will, just because I took some time to really search up this Tyreek Hill stat. Yeah, he had 44 and a half PPR points in fantasy football, which is absurd. Yeah, if he can replicate this performance almost every other week or so, that would be nothing short of amazing. I think it would be possibly the greatest thing ever, honestly. And it's just a little bit concerning because if teams can eliminate the passing game for the Dolphins and fluster Tua or get their hands on the receivers and limit them, that could pose a big concern for the Miami Dolphins, because as it is right now, the running game isn't there. And I understand, guys, it's one game, but in the grand scheme of things, if it doesn't start getting corrected early, it's going to be a problem the entire season. I understand each team you play is different. Each look you're going to get is going to be different almost every other time. So that is one thing that should always be considered. But next week is a Sunday night game against the New England Patriots, and they're going to stop the run. And they're going to have some type of game plan for the passing game of the Miami Dolphins. So some work is definitely going to need to be done, but I don't want to keep you guys here too long. So if you made it to this point in the video, I hope you guys really enjoyed it. But big one from Miami Dolphins, 36-34, week 1 win. And they go on to play the New England Patriots Sunday Night Football, September 17th at 8:20. So we'll have a video hopefully earlier for you guys next week, and hopefully YouTube won't remove me from their platform again. That would be absolutely okay, right? But I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll catch you later. Peace.